Hello, welcome back. Our next guest is Martin Senfter from Senfl NFL or SENFL for people to spell it out. It is a media coverage website and Facebook page where Martin covers everything that has to do with the NFL. Everything's in the German language, which I think is super cool because I think most people don't produce this type of content in German. And he just put out a extremely detailed and complex draft guide for everybody for 2020 draft coming today. Today we're going to post this on Thursday, so first round is today. Martin, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation. Yeah,
of course. Piklamax actually suggested it, and he sent me to your Facebook page, which I've already followed. I was a fan, but I didn't actually see your draft guide until Max told me about it, and I opened it and I was like, holy crap. So looking at it now, I think it's 16 pages.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, You have team needs. You list all the team needs, breakdown of every NFL team. Your big board, so your top 50 prospects, I believe.
Yes.
You break down the top prospects from every position, and then you put together a mock draft.
Yes.
Why? Are you just that big a fan? What's your motivation for doing this? Because I imagine it took a lot of time.
It took a lot of time. I'm a very huge enthusiast about football. You know, some people
obviously
some people say expert to me, which I don't like because honestly I'm not. But I'm really an enthusiastic football person. So this is why I really like to watch a lot of tape and to watch a lot of players, of young players. And when I first started it, I think it was in 2016, I did my first kind of reports or something like that. Mm-hmm. You know, I think the first player I ever watched on the tape was a year before, 2015, was Jay Ajayi from Boise State, the running back. Mm-hmm. And then it kind of grew, you know, to my blog. I made every year maybe like 10, 20, 30, 40 prospects every year. And this year, I just wanted to do it as well, but the Corona crisis came on, so I had a lot of time.
And you're telling me.
Yeah. And this is something that I came up with, and I wouldn't expect it a couple of months ago, but this is what happened. Yeah.
No, I think it's great, and it's so detailed, which is great. And obviously, everybody needs the distraction. Mine is this podcast. Yours is this draft guide. But through looking at the draft, because yesterday I had a close friend of mine, and we're very big into fantasy football, and so obviously in fantasy football you do a lot of the same things if you take it seriously. You watch film on the rookies, but just tight ends, receivers, running back, quarterbacks.
Yes.
And so yours is not a fantasy football specific thing. It's a NFL. What type of players would be the best, not for respective NFL teams, not fantasy football.
Yes.
But in saying that, coming through a fantasy football lens, there's a couple of things that I noticed going through your draft guide that I want to ask you about.
Okay.
First off, looking at your big board, you have Chase Young as your top prospect. Is that a pretty common thing? It's just is the common thought process that he is the best football player in the draft. It's just the Bengals need quarterbacks so much that's why you project Burrow going to the Bengals, but not because he's the best football player.
I think we can argue about that. If Chase Young or Joe Burrow is the best prospect of this class, I'd say it's a head-to-head race.
Okay.
Both are very, very good at what they're doing. Chase Young is one of the best prospects I've ever seen at the edge position. So he's just the game changer. He's the one who's able to really, the offense has to do something with him, because he's able to change the whole game. He has that impact of that. He has that huge impact for his new team, and for his defense. And Joe Burrow as well. Joe Burrow is a fantastic quarterback. I mean, this is a question for you, honestly, because you're the quarterback. You can tell me something about his play, but when you see him and you see his presence in the pocket, how he's able to go away from pressure or and be as accurate as he is, it's just amazing. I really, really love it.
Yeah, it was funny. It was funny when I was watching Clyde Edwards-Helaire film, and I was watching Justin Jefferson film, and I was watching not so much the tight end Randy Moss's son.
Yeah, Randy Moss. Yeah. Thaddeus Moss. Yeah.
Yeah, Thaddeus Moss. Thaddeus. Yep. I just kept watching Burrow. The dude's amazing. The thing that I think about Burrow that is some red flags or some cause of concerns is he wasn't successful everywhere, right? There's a reason he transferred. There's a reason why he got beat out by Justin Fields, I believe. No, he got beat out by Haskins, I think, before he transferred. Right.
Yes.
And then Fields transferred for Clemson.
Yes.
So, when you're taking a guy number 1 overall in the draft, but he was only successful at LSU and only successful really for one of the 2 years that he had the same coaching staff. Now there's an adjustment period and that's normal.
Yeah.
But that would be the only red flag, because guys that you think taken 1-1, they were 5-star high school prospects. They came into the college, started immediately, played really well. They were Trevor Lawrence, right?
Yes.
They weren't a guy that transferred out of the college that he originally went to.
Just ready to play, yeah.
Because he got beat out and then needed to find a different scenario. So that would be the only thing that I say. But I think quarterback's just so valuable that you have to take it. But if there was another position equally as valuable as quarterback, it is edge rusher, because you're exactly right.
Yes.
They fuck everything up. But that was the first thing that was interesting. The next question I have for you: why do you hate J.K. Dobbins? What did he do to you? What did he do to you?
I'm not hating him. I'm not hating him.
No, you do. You do. You put Cam Akers ahead of him.
It might be something that I think Akers has a higher ceiling. Which is fair,
but I don't think I've ever seen anybody put J.K. Dobbins as the 5th best running back prospect.
I know, and I was a guest at another podcast, and they asked me, who do you think is the best fantasy running back in the next class? And I said J.K. Dobbins probably. But no, it's not that I don't hate him. I really don't hate him. It's just the running back class is so close together. It's just, if you put him in 5th or 3rd or even 2nd, it's just not. There's a huge gap between all of these guys.
No. But the thing that was interesting when I was looking at yours is, again, this is not fantasy football. This is life, right? Like NFL, real productive for your NFL team, not necessarily in stats. But most projections that I see actually had the same list, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire and J.K. Dobbins switched. What did you see that was so impressive about Clyde Edwards-Helaire that you put him as your number 1 running back prospect? Because I don't think anybody has done that. Maybe Swift, maybe Taylor, but never have I seen Clyde Edwards up there.
I mean, I'm a little bit biased because I'm a huge LSU fan. I have to admit that.
Okay, that makes sense.
But
I like him a lot. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know if he's the number 1 running back prospect, because I think he's limited in what he can do.
I think he's a very, very. He's one of those guys that the NFL really likes now these days. He's able to catch the ball. I mean, he's not the biggest prospect. That's for sure. But I think he has the lateral speed man and all of this stuff. He's able to do that. Yeah, and this is something I really like about him.
I heard a player comparison to Clyde Edwards-Helaire that I really liked, and they compared him to Brian Westbrook.
Oh yeah,
which I really liked. And if he gets in a similar system, like an Andy Reid-esque system, he could be like a better Tariq Cohen. You know what I mean? Like a Tariq Cohen that could actually run in between the tackles, because he's just more powerfully built. And I use Tariq Cohen because the head coach of the Bears is an Andy Reid disciple. So that was interesting. So you hate J.K. Dobbins. Good. Moving on.
I'm not hating.
Why do you like Laviska Shenault so much? That was interesting to me.
I think he's one of the most versatile players, or for the running wide receiver class. He's kind of a running
It's
back.
funny that you almost said running back because
Yeah,
it seems like he's a running back playing receiver.
Yes, this something, and I mean he had not the best quarterback at Colorado. So when you watch his tape, it was kind of depressing because he did very well. Actually, he did a couple of good things, but the production wasn't there. But I think his ceiling is very high. So I think he's gonna go in the first round, and I think you can literally.
Think so?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, where do you have him going? I didn't see that in your mock. Let's see here.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, you have him going 22 to the Vikings, which would make sense.
Yeah.
Which would make sense. But I just think he really needs the right fit. I wonder how he's used, because people have compared him to Deebo Samuels. But Deebo Samuels looked like much more comfortable of a route runner and a receiver. Like to your point, Chenault just looks like a great athlete, a great football player that's kind of positionless. So I wonder whoever drafts him in the NFL, and I wouldn't be surprised if he went in the first round either, what they plan to do with him, because he's not your traditional, hey, you're the split out and you're going to be running this route tree, or that you're a slot and you're going to be running this route tree. They should use him somewhat like Shanahan uses Deebo Samuels, which is a lot of reverses, a lot of jet sweeps, a lot of manufactured touches.
Yes.
And then the last thing, I don't want to take up too much of your time. The last thing that I thought was interesting, and there's a ton of things that are interesting in here. To read the entire thing in detail is going to take some time, and I encourage people to do so, because it's just content that most people don't spend their time on. A lot of times people pay money for content like this, and you're offering it for free, which is great. It says here in your mock draft that the Dolphins are drafting Justin Herbert, and you say they should draft Tua, but you said the Dolphins are heavily in love with Herbert. Is that true? I don't pay attention nearly as much as you do. What gives you that inclination that they prefer Herbert over Tua?
I mean, Twitter says it to me all the time. There are a lot of people out there who saying, the Dolphins really love what they've seen in Justin Herbert, and he's just the safer prospect than Tua,
because of injury history.
Because of this injury. But if you compare these guys, you can't compare them. Tua is the better prospect in every single way.
He's so much more talented.
Yeah,
and skilled.
I mean, when you watch Herbert has this huge guy with this big arm, and this is why some general managers fall in love with him. It's like Paxton Lynch all over again.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say it's always that way. You could have a list of QBs that are like that. And this.
I mean, I don't hate him. I just want to say it. Herbert, but if you can choose between Justin Herbert and Tua Tagovailoa, you have to pick Tua.
Well, I think the Dolphins in a perfect scenario too for drafting Tua as well, because you don't need a guy that starts immediately. Like Ryan Fitzmagic, like just let him fucking go. Like let him play a season, and you might win 9 games and you might win 3 games, but who cares? Like he's going to be, first of all, he's entertaining. People love him. He's going to have people watch because he can go off of 400 yards in one game and throw 4 picks in the next game. And then you have a year where it's like, hey, Ryan, this is yours. And Tua, this is next year. Let's make sure his body's right before coming back. Give him a redshirt year. And, I don't know if the Chargers are in the same scenario. Sure, they have Tyrod, who is a veteran starting caliber quarterback.
Yes.
But the Chargers roster is more so built now to win. They have where the Dolphins, the expectation level is so low because they got rid of all their veterans. They're literally rebuilding.
Yes.
But the Chargers are a playoff team minus some injuries. What's the safety's names? Darwin Jones or
Devin James, yes.
James.
Yeah.
You know, if they don't lose him and Melvin Gordon doesn't hold out and Hunter Henry's healthy the entire season,
yes.
they have a roster that's ready to compete.
Obviously they have, yeah.
Right.
I think they should go for somebody like Cam or something,
That's
Cam
what makes
Newton
sense, right?
Yeah.
That's what makes sense. But drafting, if they get Tua, who's able to maybe start midway through the season, who is a more polished, ready quarterback than Herbert, that could be interesting. Because even with how poorly Phillip Rivers played at times last year, they were still a mediocre team. I mean, obviously they got the sixth overall pick, but how many games did they lose by a field goal? How many games did they lose by
a lot?
A lot.
Even against the Lions, and I'm a huge Lions fan, so they lost against the Lions.
So it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. This mock draft is, without trades, which won't happen. Obviously, there'll be some trades.
Obviously, yes.
Last question I have for you. Is there one thing that you're going to be looking for in the first, let's say, 3 rounds of the draft that'll be super interesting to you? Like one thing that's under the radar that people might not be talking about, like a potential trade, like a potential draft pick, like a potential, and I didn't pre you on this. I didn't queue you up beforehand. So off the top of your head, is there one thing that would be really interesting for you to see who does what a GM does, etc., or are you just excited and ready for everything like I am for the draft?
Yeah, obviously I'm excited, but I think the most one of the most exciting questions is, what is Bill Belichick going to do? Is he going for another quarterback or not? Jordan Love is out there. This is a very tough one. Yeah,
that guy. I don't know.
I don't know as well. So, I mean,
But he can't go in the season. He can't go in the season with Stidham, right? Or Hoyer.
I don't think so. But I mean, it's Bill Belichick. Maybe he can, but Jordan Love, he can't go with Jordan Love either. He's not able to go from day one. So.
No, it's the same thing. Like Love would need to be in a scenario that he can develop, which the Patriots are always in win now. So that doesn't really make sense. Last thing, I know I said that the last 2 questions. First impression of Gronk going to the Buccaneers.
I give credit to Bill Belichick because he got the 4th rounder for him. I think that's a nice.
I mean, people are like, oh, did he get fleeced? Did he get taken advantage of in his trade? It's like, no, he didn't have a player, and now he has a 4th round pick. Yes. So I mean, he turned nothing into a 4th round pick. Yes. And Marshawn Lynch, that's great. Yeah, Marshawn Lynch got traded for like a 6th round pick or something later. Like a 4th round pick is still, if you can get 4th round picks and higher, you're in good shape, right? Like 4th round picks are still super valuable in the NFL draft. There's still really good football players available. So he turned nothing into a 4th round pick, which is super impressive. But I'm a small part of me is really surprised that Gronk wants to play football again. But it'll be that it. To the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they turned a winning team, like theoretically a winning team, minus Jameson last year, right? So you turned a quarterback scenario that everybody would dread, not knowing to extend or not extend this franchise QB that you drafted very highly, and now they turn that into a short-term solution with Brady, who just happens to be the most successful quarterback of all time. Oh, and by the way, you get the best tight end who's ever played the game coming out of retirement. Oh, and by the way, you still have the best rushing defense in the NFL. You just signed Sue again. Like
JPP, Sue, yes.
Yeah, I mean, you're talk about a veteran team ready to win. It'll be super interesting. And if they draft Love, that would be an awesome scenario. It's like, hey, you're gonna sit behind Brady for as long as he wants to play until his arm falls off, and then it's you. So,
and I mean, it's good for Tom that Gronk is back, because now he got his right tackle. That's nice, They haven't got a good line, so they need to improve that.
No, but I think they will. I think that'll probably be the focus of the draft, is bringing in several second, third, fourth round offensive linemen because they don't have Gronk. What people don't talk about is Gronk's 10 mil. He takes that.
Yes.
They take that contract.
Yes.
So that's most of their cap room is gone now. But
I
it'll
think
be
it's
interesting. Go
the
ahead.
third highest tight end contract till
I think
this
so.
day.
I
Yeah.
mean, 10 mil for a tight end is very, very
Yeah.
expensive.
Only
It'll be
asking
interesting. It'll be interesting to see what they do with OJ Howard, but still, that doesn't clear any cap room. But maybe they get rid of Brait now. I don't know. Very interesting times. Martin, thank you for joining me. Go check out his draft guide at senfl.at, or just search it for Facebook, senfl.at, and enjoy the read. It's really impressive, and it makes me happy that somebody's doing this out of the love of the heart.
Yeah,
So,
thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Martin, thanks.